Yes, so I actually did start playing the violin when I was 2. And I'll be answering a lot of your questions today, but first, if you don't know me yet, my name is Amarins. I'm a professional violinist, and sometimes I make little videos for YouTube for you guys. I had a bit of a break for about half a year, but now I'm back and I'm so happy to be answering your questions today. So really a long time ago actually, quite a lot of you sent me questions through YouTube, through Instagram, and I'm super grateful. And yeah, let's dive right into it. See you in a minute. One of my followers on YouTube, she is called Lana something. Lana, let's call her Lana. And she asked me actually quite a few questions, and one of them was, what's your favorite piece to play? Well, I guess my favorite piece to perform is like one of the Beethoven string quartets that I have played for now. So we used to play Razumovsky No. 2 a lot, Beethoven, and now we play Beethoven 132, so one of the later string quartets. And with both of those, I really feel like you can connect so well with the audience that the truth of the music and the truth of Beethoven is so close to a human reality somehow. You really feel connection with the audience and with the people that you're playing for, especially in the slow movement of Beethoven 132. I just feel like the atmosphere in the room is so amazing usually if we're playing well. The next question, also from Lana, is, does your boyfriend also play an instrument? And back then he was my boyfriend, but now he's my husband. So yes, he plays the cello. He's not a professional. He learned really well when he was a child and even did like the kind of pre-college in London at the Royal Academy, but then I think it was just not something that he wanted to pursue and become a professional. So he loves the creative industries and he studied film and technology. Yeah, now he started his own business, but yeah, he plays the cello. That's a short answer. But I think he just loves music but probably doesn't want to practice all the time. Let's get to the next question. Just a quick sip of tea first. Someone called Davides, let's call him. He said, what role does the score take in your method of learning? You probably all know this, but I'm just gonna explain it anyway for myself. So the score is kind of where all the voices are lined up. So with string quartet, we would have all the parts listed in a row. And this way, you can really have a great overview of what everybody is doing at the same time. And yeah, I would say I use it a lot. Most of the time I play off an iPad. So that means that I can read things just off my part, or I can read off the score. And so it's a lot more page turning, but it means that I'm internalizing much more what the others are doing, and I have a better overview of kind of, you know, what exactly is written in the other parts. It's often important to know kind of what dynamics other people are playing, what rhythms, etc. And when I'm about to learn a piece, sometimes I'll also listen to a recording of the piece and look at the score, so that I'm already starting to internalize kind of everything that's happening more and more. And seeing it on paper is really helpful, sometimes more than just listening. So I have 2 questions about travel, and they're kind of similar, but in a way also very different. So Jake Watson asked me, what's your favorite place where you've been to travel? And so someone called James asked me, if you could travel anywhere, where would you go? Let me answer both of those questions. So the first one, my favorite place to travel is Prussia Cove. This is the place where my husband and I met, and it's a music festival in Cornwall, and it's just like right on the sea. And actually my husband and I got married there in June, so it's been a really important place for me over the years. Oh gosh, where's a place that I would love to travel to? Well, I do travel so much for my work, and I must say often when I'm traveling home, it's one of my favorite places to travel to. But a new place that I would love to go, there's a dream that I've always had of going to a lake in Norway. I don't know why it's Norway. I've never been to Norway. And to like rent a house on a lake and have like just the nicest, calmest experience there for a little while. And I'd actually really like to do that someday. So just to like go and maybe have as little technology as possible, and just to kind of be in nature and practice and be inspired, and, you know, maybe make a little video. But the point is just to kind of be more disconnected from the kind of crazy rat race It's a hard word to say. Rat race world that we live in today. Okay, next question. I should have some more tea, shouldn't I? I wish you guys were here to like ask me the questions. That would be much more natural, but I'm reading them off for you. So another one from Jake Watson. He asks, when you're at home, do you just practice quartet or orchestra stuff, or do you work on solo rep too? So in my ideal world, and mind you, that is not happening all the time, in my ideal world, I would like to start the day by warming up, playing scales, and then I would like to play some Paganini, some Bach, both of those just for my own kind of personal development. And then I really have to start practicing the things that I need. So most of the time that's quartet repertoire, because 90% of my work is with my string quartet. And sometimes I'm also practicing other things. I notice so much that when I'm practicing hard stuff, so like violin concertos and Paganini, that it's so healthy for my general playing level, that many things that could be difficult if I'm not really in shape, if I'm practicing like hard violin concertos and performing difficult things, that then my overall level is higher. Another question from Lana is, what do you do when you don't have inspiration to practice? And I was writing down the questions and I was like, oh my gosh, I actually don't really have such a good answer to that. So what do I do when I don't have inspiration? I try and do other things. I try and free my mind and take in other forms of art, so that my musical inspiration comes from having, you know, being present in my life and enjoying my life, so that I can share that with others. Is that a good answer? I don't know. Okay, so someone called Violinist, they asked me, how do you warm up your right hand? And that was another tricky question that I saw, and I was like, how do I warm up my right hand? I'll definitely make a video for you guys at some point about like my warm-up routine away from the instrument, because that's definitely something I believe in, that you can, if your blood is flowing and your body is warm, that will definitely prevent injuries as much or more, even more than kind of doing warm-ups with the instrument. And I don't really think I do warm-ups for my right hand. I probably should, but I just kind of I guess I start with slower bows, and if I'm really cold in the right hand, then I'll just wait with doing like faster stuff. Yeah, I've hardly thought about that. Is that bad? I'm so sorry not to be able to answer your question well, but I don't really think about my right hand. I'm always like thinking about my left. That probably says a lot about me as a player as well. I should think about that. Yeah, sorry. Next question. Someone said, can you share suitcase packing tips? Yes, I will share that in another video, but that takes longer than like 5 travel tips as a professional traveling musician. Number 1, have a suitcase which can be a carry-on. That way you don't have to pick it up at the airport. Number 2, roll your clothes so that they're smaller in the suitcase. Number 3, wear your running shoes so that you don't have to pack an extra pair of shoes. Number 4, use travel toiletries. No more big bottles. Number 5, check if you can do laundry at your destination and pack accordingly. And the bonus tip, if you're a professional musician, always pack your sheet music in your carry-on. You know why. Another question from Lana. What was the most beautiful moment of your violin career? I almost knocked over my tea there. I think there's one moment that always stands out to me. The chance that I got to play in the big hall for the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam. And I took part in the national violin competition in Holland when I was like 21 or 20 or something like that. I got in the final, and playing Brahms Violin Concerto with the orchestra of the conservatory, and so they weren't really professional but also not amateurs. I mean, they were learning to be professionals, and it was the most stressful and the most wonderful experience I think I've ever had, to be able to do that. And the fact that I managed to do that has strengthened me so much throughout the years, that if I'm feeling anxious or afraid about something, that I revert back to that moment and I say, well, look, if you could do that, then you can certainly do this. You know, it's kind of a weird method of thinking. Sometimes when you work with children, there was one particular tour that was so rewarding when we went to Wales to do a few to play a few concerts in Wales for kids, and there's a lot of singing in Wales and a lot of poverty, and we went to a couple really not well-off schools, and they sang, and we played this kind of theme song from Frozen, and we'd say, can you tell us what it is? And every single time, every school, all the kids would go, Frozen! And it just kind of hit me so hard, this beautiful way that music can really connect with everyone. One of my YouTube subscribers who actually comments quite frequently, and I really am so grateful, Planetimo, if someone was so put off becoming a professional musician by stage fright, what advice would you have for them? If you have stage fright and you want to try and overcome it, then I think the best way is to get on stage as much as you can. I'm listening a lot to this podcast by Elise Myers, and she was interviewing a comedian the other day who also was saying kind of, you just really have to do it over and over and over. And I think something that someone said to me that has really helped me is like, try and enjoy the process, try and enjoy each opportunity that you get to be on stage and to be feeling those emotions. You know, it's kind of like an overdose of adrenaline. And I think it's really helped me to be like, okay, I see that this is happening, you know, in my case with the shaky bow, that just to see it and to be like, okay, I accept that this is happening. Also, in my case, I've listened back to recordings that I felt like were the worst thing in the world, where my bow had been so shaky that nobody would have been able to take me seriously or something. And then I listened back and I'm like, wait, was that where my bow was so shaky? So it's often really unnoticeable, and the worst that can happen is that you make a mistake. You know, it's not like the world is going to end. I think for me, another thing that's been really, really helpful is not seeing anything as the final point that I've been working to. So for instance, preparing for competitions, I would tell myself, well, this concert is just a preparation, you know, it's not the final product, it's just a step in getting there. And you can say the same for, you know, the most important concert that you'll ever have. That's maybe the most important at that point, but it's just a stepping stone. You know, one day it will just be a memory, either good or bad. It will just be a way that you got to where you are today. So another question which I received was, were you really 2 when you started the violin, and what did that look like? And yes, I was really 2, well, 2.5. And I was really lucky, so I wanted to play the violin. I went to hear a friend's son play the violin, and he was 4 at the time. And when we got home, I said, Mommy, I want to play. And my parents said, well, sorry, you're really not old enough. Like, what are you gonna do? You're still in diapers. And apparently I begged every day after that. I would go in the sandbox and kind of pretend to play the violin with my little shovel and rake. And after about half a year of begging, my mom said, okay, well, she's obviously serious. Like, I don't know what to do with this child. So they called around and they got the advice to start me with a Suzuki violin teacher, where you learn a lot more kind of via listening and less from sheet music, because I couldn't actually read, so why would I read music? So we did that for a few years, and that was just perfect for me at that time. So yeah, it is possible to start when you're so young. So the last question is from someone on my Instagram, and it was in a DM to me, and I don't want to share too many personal things about this person because they might not want that, but their question was about having your period. And I thought it was really special because it's something that's not talked about very much, but you know, 50% of people have their period. And or maybe more, because there are statistically more women in the world, aren't there? So yeah, she asked about how it affects me on a day when I have a concert and what she can do to, you know, make herself feel better. And she was getting stressed about the day of the concert. And I responded to her and I said that I'm really lucky that usually the really severe part of my period is only for a few hours right when I get it, and that luckily is usually not something that gets in the way. And I could take painkillers, I think, also, but I have been lucky that I haven't been, you know, I haven't had to be at home on the couch for multiple days, which I know happens to friends. And what I did say to her was that, you know, try and make yourself comfortable, but also don't worry about it too much, because you just don't know what that day is gonna be like, right? You can worry about something so much, and I'm really the best at worrying. I probably should take my own advice and like trying to, I think through all the scenarios in my head, and it's just completely counterproductive. There are medications that one could use, but I haven't done that before. But if you're really worried about it, you could, you know, have medication to delay your period beyond that date. And I also wrote, another thing to think about is that it will just be one moment in your very long life. Maybe the worry will be worse than the actual feeling on the day. I hope you will find a good way of dealing with this, and please don't be too hard on yourself. And yeah, it was somehow really, really inspiring to me to get this message, and it was one of the reasons that I was somehow reinvigorated to come back to YouTube and to make videos for you guys and to share a bit more about what my life as a musician is like, because it seemed like you guys are interested, and it also made me realize that it's very rewarding for me to speak to people and to think about, you know, reasons why I do things, instead of just going through the paces and getting all worked up about things that maybe are not such a big deal. Yeah, like send me more questions. I'm really always happy to hear from you guys, and really sweet of you to ask me so many things. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and really happy to get to know all of you, and see you in the next video. Bye!